Here we have frog PAILs and rail. So we're going to get in the frog position with our knees at a 90-degree angle, our feet pointed outward, and we're going to set up in this position and hold passively first. So once we get comfortable in this position and find our end range, we're just going to try to hold that end range for up to about a minute. Inhale for 4, exhale for 8. Just focus on your breathing. It's really important when we start contracting into the ground that we start with our feet, our ankles, our knees, all the way up into our adductors, and we slowly progress from 10% to 100%, that we don't just press everything that we got into the ground when we start our PAILs. So right now we're just breathing and stretching and just holding. Our parasympathetic nervous system is just beginning to be stimulated by just our breathing. You can hold this up to 2 to 3 minutes, but for beginners, I would suggest probably about a minute to start and then getting into your PAILs contraction. So your PAILs contraction, you're going to start pressing the knees and hips and feet and ankles into the ground, contracting the tissue that's being stretched, which is your adductors. We're going to go from 10% all the way to 30, and then 30% all the way to 60%, contracting all of our muscles that are next to our hips, beginning with our abs and our chest, pressing everything in from 60 to 100%, pushing into the ground as hard as we can here, safe as we can. Greatest effort for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And on our rails contraction, we're going to try to go deeper into the stretch by letting ourselves melt into the ground, but we're using our intense effort that we've been in from our PAILs contraction. So keep contracting the entire body and try to open up into the ground. Go deeper into your stretch. Keep going. Try to open up. Try to open up. Squeeze. Open up. And then relax. I like to come out of this position a little bit differently, and that feels really good. And then back to my frog position. I'm going to slowly get myself out of this position. So you're going to have a lot of neurological confusion there, and so you might, have to slowly get out, and that's perfectly fine. And from here, what we'll do is get into 90-90 front leg PAILs and rails. This time we're going to lean a little bit more forward than I typically teach. I learned this from Coach Zach, and we're just going to lean forward, arch the lower back, chest is high. Everything is opened up here. Our knees are at 90, feet are dorsiflexed, and our chest is over our shin. Breathe here passively for about a minute. Inhale for 4, exhale for 8. Try to find your end range, get situated, get comfortable, and get ready for your PAILs contraction. Your PAILs contraction will be, we're going to start pushing into the wall. We're going to begin pressing the ankle, the shin, and knee, and hip into the ground, the front hip. You'll begin to feel tissue in your left glute here, for example, or the front glute, and you'll start beginning to feel that stretch once we start pressing the foot and ankle and shin into the ground. So right now we're just breathing and holding. Going to hold this for a couple more seconds before we start our PAILs contraction. So starting from 10% all the way to 20%, that type of effort, we're going to slowly progress from 20% to 30% effort. Our whole body begins to irradiate. We begin to contract all the muscles, recruiting all the muscles in and around that front hip, all the way from 30% to 60% effort and intensity, beginning to pretend there's a scale underneath our shin, and it's going up to 80 pounds, all the way to 90 pounds, all the way to 100 pounds, and going from 60 to 100% of our effort, trying to go up to 200 pounds on that scale, pressing down into the ground. And our rails contraction, we're going to go deeper into the stretch by trying to pull that knee and shin up toward our body as we lean forward and deeper into the stretch. Use the wall as support, squeeze all your muscles. This is our regressive angular isometric load. Keep squeezing and deepening that stretch. Pull that knee and foot up toward the body. Actively go deeper into external rotation on that front leg, and slowly come out of that position. From here, what we'll do is a kinetic transition, and to kind of show you how we would maybe move a little bit differently here after, so kinetically moving forward. This is going to be a nice little challenge for you. If you don't want your hands behind your head, you can also tee them out. And we're going to transition into our trail leg 90-90 PAILs and rails. So from here, we're going to twist that back shoulder toward our back, hip, and knee. And we're really twisting and torquing toward our back, ankle, and foot. We're going to hold this position. For about a minute passively before we begin our PAILs contraction. So we're trying to find our end range here. I'm going to hold on to the foot and hold on to my stomach here to find that end range in my passive stretch. I want to find my end range because that's where I want to produce muscle force or muscle contraction and full body force. That's the angle, that's the end range that I'm going to help with my internal rotation gains. So basically what we're doing here is we're stretching the tissue and the internal rotation of our trail leg. And we're going to feel neurological tension here. We may even cramp up. So if you do cramp up, that's your body telling you something. It's telling you that you need to be able to do this position without that. And it's important that if you can do this, that you're just focusing on your breathing here. Inhale for 4, exhale for 8. If there is a lot of neurological tension, this might be too advanced for you. Okay, you can also bring your hands behind your back and press them into the ground. From here, we're going to start pressing the back foot and knee and hip into the ground. We're going to be contracting the tissue that's being stretched. We're going to go from 10% to 20%. 20% to 30%. Hold here, begin to irradiate the entire body from 30% all the way to 60%, smashing that leg into the ground, contracting the tissue that's being stretched. Then from 60 to 100% of your maximal and greatest intensity for 5, 4, 3, 2. A rails contraction. Try to pull the back foot off the ground and try to stay in that torque twisted position. You may have to lean forward as I am. Keep pressing that back knee into the ground. Go deeper into your internal rotation and hold. Hold this position. Squeeze all your muscles. Focusing on the internal rotation. Hover. Keep going. Keep going. Keep regressing the angle. Keep going and slowly bring it down and relax. Now, that may have created a lot of neurological tension, but if your hips are feeling good, then you should be still in this position with me. And then from here, we're going to transition with a swimmer in bear. So we're going to transition, hip hinge, and from here we'll go into our bear position. Bring our hands behind our head. We're going to make a Y, T, and A. Hinge the elbows, hinge them back out, T and I, all the way back out. And transition to the opposite side.